Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Join Terry with Tracer Rounds every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central to hear interviews with veteran artists, veteran business owners, and businesses that support veterans. Tune in to see if you're on target. Catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and MB Radio, giving veterans a voice.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and I'm your host, Terry, and you're on Military Broadcast Radio, giving veterans a voice. And tonight's special guest is Norm Abbott, and he is a Navy veteran. Thank you for coming on the show today, Norm. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
I met Norm because he is in the church band. I don't know, does the church band have a name?
I don't think it does. It's the worship band.
The worship band.
Yeah.
And he's a steel guitar player, and he's a guitar player. And you play the adobo too?
Dobro? Yes, ma'am.
Dobro. Okay.
Yes.
So I thought we'd talk about first about your military service. And so I know you're a Navy veteran. Can you tell us, how long you were in, your rank, and maybe how your job specialty, and then some of your assignments?
Well, I joined the Navy in 1972. I had been graduated from high school a little over a year, and I had gotten married, and we decided to go into the military. So I joined the Navy, and after I got out of boot camp, they sent me to an electronics school that was at a training center in Millington, Tennessee, just a few miles north of Memphis is where the Navy's aviation training schools were at that time. And anyway, I was sent to electronics school and actually learned to work on computers when they were pretty early during this time. But anyway, when I graduated from the school, I was sent to NAS Albany, Georgia, and it was to an RA-5C squadron, RVH-12. And these aircraft were reconnaissance aircraft. So they had all kinds of cameras and infrared printed on film and all kind of ECM stuff, pretty high tech reconnaissance aircraft. And so I worked there, and after 6 months, Congress shut down that base and transferred us to Key West, Florida, the whole outfit.
Wow.
And wow, it was a big change.
Yeah.
We went from a town that kind of shut down about 9 o'clock to town that never did shut down.
Right, it's a party town.
Took some getting accustomed to. But anyway, in 1974, they sent us to Vietnam. Things were winding down over there. I think they had signed a ceasefire. But anyway, we're attached to the USS Enterprise aircraft carrier. And so we went out there. And so as a reconnaissance aircraft, we were flying a lot of sorties, doing a lot of reconnaissance all the way up to the border with North Vietnam.
Yeah.
And things were going pretty good. There wasn't a whole lot of fighting going on. So they decided to start go around different countries around there and do some air shows. The Navy had just bought the new F-14 Tomcats, and these were the Enterprise had the first two squadrons that had them, and so they were unlike anything that the Navy had ever had. So it was a big deal.
Yeah.
So we went all the way around. Oh man, we went all the way around to Africa and up the African coast doing these air shows.
Wow.
And so these tours were usually about 6 months. Well, we were getting ready to come back home, and North Vietnam invaded South Vietnam. So they shipped us all back up there again and this time it was fighting, a lot of fighting. We were loading bombs. It was as much fighting as there had ever been. But of course, we ended up having to get out of there. And so had a lot of helicopters, and we brought a lot of people on, that were evacuating out. And it was our government people, their government people. It was just a lot of people. And there was like 4 aircraft carriers out there that just we loaded as many people as we could, that we could get on. And it was crazy. It was chaos, but we got it done. And so after that cruise, we came back. And in 76, I decided to re-enlist. And after I re-enlisted, they actually sent me back up to NATTC Memphis as an electronics instructor.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up going back up there, and I taught there for 3 years. I taught electronics, and then I had made E6, and so for my last year, they sent me to the East Coast back to a VA-34 at NAS Oceana, Virginia, and these were the Navy's bombers, medium bombers. And so kind of the same thing, just a different aircraft. Now, I spent my last year doing that. But the music part of it kind of overlaps with my Navy, because I played in bands the whole time I was in the Navy, except for the part where I was on out to Vietnam. I didn't there, but we played a lot of bands while I was in the Navy. It was made a nice little part-time job. But I grew up playing music with my dad and my brother, and they taught me enough to get me going. And then I met some other people that came to our little church that we had, and one of them was a man named Oliver English, and he was kin to the English boys that all played for Willie Nelson and still do.
Oh, wow.
But so that was he taught me a lot, in the short time he was there. And so I just kept playing and kept going, playing in church. And when I got out and got into the Navy, I just took my guitar with me, and didn't matter where I was, there was always guys around that played guitars and banjos. There was all kinds of musicians. And so it was very good for me to get to play with all these different guys that played all this different kind of music.
Yeah.
And so it was a good education as far as music goes. And I made a lifelong friend there when I was in RVH 12, and he and I played guitar all the way up until right before he retired from the Navy. I got out after 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah. Went to work here in Fort Worth. I got into oil and gas. I had an opportunity, I guess, to go to work at the General Dynamics or the Bell Helicopter. You know, they like the aviation military guys, especially.
Yeah.
But I was kind of tired of airplanes, so I went to work in the oil and gas. I stayed in it until I retired, working electronics. And but anyway, I played the guitar there in the Navy. And when we got back from Vietnam. Well, some of these guys that we had all been playing together, we decided to put a band together. Had no idea how to do it or anything like that, but we did it, and just learned a bunch of songs. And we're very fortunate. The clubs there on base would let us play there, and kind of wet our wheels. And then we'd go out in town and play a little bit. And by the time I got to Memphis, I kind of knew what I was doing. And so when I got to Memphis, that was one of the first things I did was start up a band, because this is pretty good part-time money, playing weekends. In fact, sometimes it was almost as much as what I was making in the military.
Oh, wow.
but anyway, I played a lot, met a lot of good musicians. Always loved playing with guys that was better than me, because I could always learn stuff,
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, I played there in Key West. Then I played in Memphis. We had a band. That band we ended up traveling a lot on the weekends. Went all around from West Tennessee all the way up into Central Tennessee. We just traveling all around.
Yeah.
And when I got out of that, then I spent my last year in Oceana, Virginia, and I didn't do anything there. I was getting everything ready to, resume a career outside the military. And,
right.
And so I was able to. They actually let me come back here into Fort Worth early, so I was able to have a lot of resumes out and I actually had a job before I ever got out. So
that's awesome.
I got out on a Friday of the Navy and went to work Monday morning.
Didn't miss a beat.
Nope, didn't miss a beat. There was a guy there at the company that I went to work for. He had a band, but he didn't have a steel player. Well, at that time, I hadn't really picked up. I hadn't picked up the steel yet. I was still playing just lead guitar. But my goodness, when I got back here from the Navy, lead guitar players were a dime a dozen. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was hard to get a job, finding a band to play with, because there were so many of them. So
right.
I had decided I was going to learn to play a steel guitar or the fiddle. I said, whichever one falls in my lap first, that's what I'm taking. Well,
right.
A friend of mine knew that I was wanting, one of the two. So he knew a guy that had this old steel guitar that had been in his garage for like years. And so I was able to get it for like next to nothing. And it was needed a lot of work. But luckily where I worked, there was a machine shop there. So some of the guys, they helped me fix it, because it's a lot of mechanical stuff under one of those steel guitars. And they got me going. And so that was my introduction to pedal steel. And it was tough. I played on it for about 6 months, and then I finally got so disgusted. I said, I'm not going to play this thing.
You said, never mind.
But I don't know. For about 3 months or so, I didn't touch it. It was just sitting in there in the spare bedroom, and I don't know. One day I decided to go back in there and start, and the light bulb went off when I began to understand what I was doing. So I was off and running, and I would play, and I would pick up some gigs, but I would play with my guitar in my lap, because I get lost on that steel guitar while I was still learning to play. So I always had my guitar to fall back on. Right. It was It was like my security blanket. And after a while, it was less and less. And then pretty soon, we don't need you to play guitar. We need you to play steel. So I just ended up playing just pretty much steel. So it's a treat when I get to play guitar at church and stuff. I get to play it every once in a while. And it's a treat, but mostly it's steel guitar. And that's what everybody likes.
Well, yeah, because when you're playing country music, old country music, or even old gospel, like the steel just lends itself to, a sound that's so unique and so pleasing that everyone just gravitates towards it, I think.
Yeah. It's funny. When I started, I was playing at a church. It was back in the 80s, actually. Late 80s, and they were starting to do the contemporary, and I wasn't sure how it was going to sound. Well, they decided they wanted to make an album, and the guy heading this thing up, he didn't want a steel guitar. He said, this is not going to sound right, but they convinced him to let me just record him, let him play and see how it sounds, because he'll be on his own track. If you don't like it, then you don't have to use it.
Right.
And I just played my heart, like I still do today. And he loved it. So I started playing contemporary music on the steel guitar. And you don't see that much, but
no, you really
pretty
don't.
Cool. It really lends itself to a lot of different kinds of music.
I think it does. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to listen to Mr. Red, White, and Blue by Coffee Anderson, and then we'll be right back with Norm Abbott.
It's the guts and it's the glory, 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey, from the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Lay down, here's the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh.
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds. I'm your host, Terry, and with me in studio tonight is Norm Abbott, and he is a Navy veteran, and he is a musician and a steel guitar player. That is the coolest thing. I don't know any other steel guitar players, so I can say I know one, and he's really good.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we were talking before the break about you learning how to play and I think you just got into the attitude, this thing is not going to best me. I'm going to win. And so you went back in and you tried it again and you got it.
Yeah, it did. Things started working out for me. I started understanding a little bit. And I remember the first time I got on stage, I played on stage with it. Oh, Terry, I was scared to death. Here I am, a musician, been playing for years, but I'm playing a new instrument.
Right.
And it's like I'm playing a dance. It's a dance. Folks come there to dance and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like every person out there was a steel guitar player, and they were listening to every little thing I did. That's what it felt like. And so I'm trying so hard, and you got your left foot has pedals that it's pushing on. Your right foot has a volume pedal you're working. Both knees, there's levers that you're moving with your knees, and of course both hands are moving. Yeah. So it's involved. But
yes.
So anyway, I'm got my head down. I'm concentrating so hard trying to not lose my place. Yeah. And so we got through with that first set, and we're taking a break, and I was still sitting there trying to get this thing, trying to get my wits about me. And I had been so nervous that my right foot on the volume pedal kept shaking like up and down like this. And my volume was going, woo, woo, woo.
Oh my goodness.
So I finally just pushed it all the way down and took my foot off the volume pedal. But anyway, I'm sitting here doing this, and I sensed that somebody was walking up to there's a little rail right there. Yeah. And I looked up, and it was just this elderly lady. She says, I want to know what's wrong with you. And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, nothing wrong. Why? She says, I've been watching you all night. You have not smiled one time. I said, lady, I got both hands busy. I got both feet busy and both knees busy. I said, I can't do nothing else. I'll lose all of it. So that was my first gig, and it got better. Of course, over time it got better and got easier, but Lord have mercy. It was looking back on it, it was a lot of fun. It was. I
didn't realize that you use your knees too.
Yes, ma'am. I got 5 knee levers that hang down from the bottom that I've used my knees to push. 5 different ones.
No wonder it was intimidating. You have to move everything at once. It must be exhausting. Like once you get done, you're almost like.
I am because you're always trying to stay just a little bit ahead of the song, because you're always what am I going to do next? Now, if it's the piano's turn to take the solo, or the fiddle's turn to take the solo, or the fills or whatever, then I don't have to. I can just do whatever I want to. I just cut the volume way back, and sometimes I play a little bit, and sometimes I don't. Yeah. But when it's my time to play, I got to go. You got to go, and so yes, by the end, usually, even though we're only playing 45 minutes, I'm usually pretty wore out. Of course, my age don't help matters none. But anyway, it's I can't imagine. I used to play these 9-to-1 gigs, these dances, and Lord, now at 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go to bed. And that's used to be when my night started.
Right.
A long time ago. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. We have a blast. We're all good friends up there. Of course, that's my son's the worship leader, and my daughter, she used to sing with us, and but They're all good friends. We've been playing together for a long time. Long time.
And you still play with some other bands now, or or is that all you're doing right now currently?
Well, the last one I was playing, like we were talking earlier. I played with the Cowtown Opry Band down at the Stockyards in Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
I played with them every Sunday afternoon. But when Jeff asked me to start teaching the Sunday night Bible class, and there wasn't not enough time for me to, get out of church in the morning, then run up Stockyards and play, and then run back, try to be back here in time to teach Bible study. So I stopped playing with the Opry. It just felt like it was the Lord's calling for me to teach, and I used to teach a lot. So I just had to let it go. And then I'm playing with another gospel, that he put on he would put on concerts, gospel concerts, and we did some in Cleburne, and then we did some here in Burleson, and but he's kind of retired from it. He decided it was too much for him, so he stopped doing that. So right now the worship band at church is all I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's okay. At my age, I'm ready to slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Have you played with some pretty famous people? Have you met a lot of people because of all the music that you've done over the years?
I played with a few. Johnny Duncan, did some with him. He was out of the 80s, I guess, 70s, 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Big country music guy. He was real big there for a while. And there was another one, and I'm sorry when he was big time, but he was big back during World War II in the 40s and 50s.
Okay.
Hank Thompson.
And
he did a lot of Western swing stuff, and we played with him a little bit. And as far as any names that anybody might know, that's it. Played for a lot of regional people that were, but that's about it. I never really pursued it because the electronics made me a really good living, and you go off into these, start trying to go out on the road and stuff, and unless you're really playing with somebody that's making a lot of money, and you don't make very much money.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that do it, they do it because they love it.
Yeah.
I had kids, I had a family, and I couldn't put them through that. So
right.
I just had plenty of fun with it on the weekends, and that was plenty. Never was a big wanting to go on the road kind of guy.
What's your favorite type of music to play? And then what's your favorite instrument to play on that type of music?
Well, I love Western swing, Texas swing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That beat just gets in your blood. Yeah. And I do like playing it at the steel guitar, but it's a close between the guitar and the steel guitar. I love playing with both of them. But that, hands down, that's my favorite. Now, I love country. It's guys like the Merle Haggard and George Strait and those kind of guys. That's the ones that I like. I don't listen to the top 40 these days, and I just listen to my own music. But I like their stuff, and I know a lot of, I played a lot of George Strait stuff, played a lot of Merle Haggard, George Jones, Willie Nelson, all those guys. I love those old boys like that. I love their music. They always had great bands.
Yeah.
We opened for a lot of them. I used to play at the Billy Bob's down there. Mm-hmm. Used to play down there once a month, so every time we played down there, we'd play in the front stage, and there was always when we got through, there was always a big name back there. And I remember one time, of all people, Pat Green. I don't know.
Oh, Pat Green, yeah.
He was the headliner there, and he was playing that Texas music, they called it. I think that's what they were calling it. And man, he was pretty famous. Mm-hmm. But it was the young crowd. So anyway, we're opening it up. We played our thing, and before we were finished playing, that was you couldn't even walk in that club. And it was a bunch of kids. They were young college. And I mean, it took me my whole 15-minute break to get to the restroom, get a drink of water, and get back to the stage. I mean, there was no sitting down and resting or anything like that. It took off. And Willie Nelson would pack them in there like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that place does get pretty crowded. And yeah, if you got a big name coming in, it's going to be pretty thick.
Yeah, it was. It's a lot of fun. We enjoyed it.
How many Texas artists have you played with? Oh. Have you ever played with Kevin Fowler, or do you know who he is?
No, ma'am, I don't.
No.
Probably a lot younger than me. He probably came along after I had stopped.
Yeah.
See, I quit playing the clubs and dances. Oh my goodness. Except for every now and then, I was almost completely finished by around somewhere in 2000, I think. I was winding down and I pretty much finished. And my wife introduced me to a cowboy church, and I thought that was awesome. That was what I was looking for right there.
Right.
So
you found your niche.
Yep. I just poured everything I had into it. And
yeah.
I think there was when I first started going there at Barcross, it was like 30 people, 25 or 30. And we were in this little strip mall deal there. And anyway, we ended up buying 7 acres of land and building the church, and built it ourselves. Excuse me.
Wow.
So I've been with it almost since it first started.
Right. Yeah, a long time. Well, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to play Waye Jennings' One Folded. And we'll be right back with Norm Abbott.
This, then I watched the evening news. There were folks that still wouldn't stand for the old red, white, and blue. At first it made me fight and mad how they think that that's okay. Then I thought they just don't understand, and given a chance I'd say, have you ever been there when taps was played, or for a 21-gun salute? Had to hear the words you never want to hear. Have you ever had to face that truth? When a son or daughter didn't come back home to a family so devoted, then you might not disrespect our flag. If you'd ever been handed one folded. Have you seen a heartbroken mother or a father fall to his knees? Been there when a family got the news that your freedom wasn't free? Have you seen a flag draped coffin? If you did, how'd it make you feel to know a soldier died to give you the right to stand or kneel? Most of us are immigrants, proud to call America home. And I'll stand for the red, white, and blue, even if I gotta stand alone. 'Cause I've been there when taps was played for a 21-gun salute. I had to hear the words I didn't want to hear. Yeah, I had to face that truth. When a son and daughter didn't come back home to a family so devoted, you never disrespect our flag. If you'd been handed one folded. You never disrespect our flag. If you'd ever been handed one folded. One folded.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and I am Terry, your host, and we're back with Norm Abbott. And I want to welcome our guests that we have. We have Maverick, and we have H, and we have Red. They're joining the show. Thank you for commenting. So, Norm, there was a steel guitar in that video, right? I mean, like in the music. Did you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. I was like, I was listening, and I was like, there's a steel guitar in there. I know. Yeah, that's a pretty cool song.
During our time there in Vietnam, when we would come back home, especially when I would come here home on leave, or something, get a few days of leave, I remember walking through the airport and people would walk way out to avoid you, if you were in uniform.
Right.
It always left you were super proud, to be representing your country in the military.
Yeah.
But I remember my dad, he was in World War II, and my brother served in the Marine Corps, and it was everybody would. It was a great thing for them, and it was a great thing for me. But there was a lot of people that were against the war, and I don't have a problem with their beliefs, but man, they shunned us like it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I'll never, ever, ever forget. It was after the Gulf War, and patriotism in this country just went through the roof.
It sure did. Yeah.
And this young lady I think I was at the stockyards getting set up, and I had on a hat. I think it was maybe the USS Enterprise or my squadron or something. I got a lot of hats, from that period. But she stuck her hand out to shake my hand. She said, "Thank you for your service, sir." Lord, I didn't know what to say. I was totally caught off guard.
Yeah.
And I mumbled, "Thank you," but I am super, super proud of the way this country treats their veterans now. It's a blessing to see these young men to get the recognition they deserve, and we all get it now. But for us guys that get it back then, this is it's a wonderful blessing to see that the young men now get the recognition they deserve.
I agree.
So
I agree.
It was and it's still it's still sometimes kind of funny when people, thank you for your service. And now I don't just say thank you. I tell them it was an honor to serve my country.
Absolutely.
I say that every time because it's. But anyway, I was thinking of that on that song. The song before that, I remember I saw those kids running up to meet their dad. I remember after we got back from Vietnam, we'd been gone 8 months. In fact, I had a daughter born about a month after I left, so I had never got to see her. She was.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember we got off the plane and we're walking across the tarmac, and of course all the families are out there to greet us, and here come my son, boy. I mean, he saw me and recognized me, and that was, my goodness, that is the most wonderful feeling to come back from those tours like that, and be gone a while like that, and then get to see your family. That's just that's does your heart so much good. Makes it all worthwhile.
Right. I agree with you. And H is he's the president of NBR, and he's welcoming you home and thanking you for your service. His comments down there for you. But he's a great supporter of all of us, and this is his platform that he's built for veterans to podcast on, for rehabilitation, and just for getting our voices out there. And so we thank H for his service as well, but he thanks you for yours.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
So I was going to ask you, do you write any music on your own? Do you write songs?
I never really had an inkling to write. I'm a musician. They call us musicians. Usually if you're just a musician, you're called a sideman. And I'm one of those sidemen and proud of it. but I never really had an inkling. I've got my two sons, they write. Jason writes songs, and I have an older son that's wrote a lot of country songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's very good. All musicians.
Do you guys play together?
We do sometimes. He doesn't play. He used to play in country bands. He had he plays bass and sings. He toured Sweden one Christmas vacation.
Wow.
They toured Sweden, and he was in Nashville for a couple of years, selling some songs. He sold a few songs out there, but
wow.
He said it wasn't Texas. So, came back home.
That's true. That's true. It's definitely not
Texas. No, sir, it's not.
Oh, goodness.
So all the kids are right here 10 minutes of where I live. So we're all together.
That's nice.
It is.
Well, you guys should get together and play like a set of whatever you guys want to play. And I bet you'd have a big audience.
We used to in the last couple of years with the COVID thing, but we haven't done it. But we used to have these cookouts all the time. We'd have a big barbecue or a shrimp crawfish boil, or and we used to do that all the time. And we'd always, here in the backyard, we'd all show up and bring their guitars and play and sing, and way into the night. COVID kind of stopped all of that. Yeah. We're kind of starting to get back to doing it, but we're all a little older now. So, yeah. But we still do that some, and we'll never completely quit doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, these kids are. It's a blessing to get to play with my kids because they are very talented.
I think you just have a very musical talented family.
They are
singers and guitar players and steel guitar players. Like it's just amazing.
There's a lot of musicians in my family. A lot of musicians all up and down in my family. I don't know. It's just how it worked out.
Right. Just in the genes.
That's right. It's in the DNA.
Right. What would you say your biggest takeaway is from your military time, from your military service?
My biggest takeaway was all the wonderful men that I met, and I still have some of these guys that I still stay in contact with. We still, after all these years, we're getting fewer and fewer in number. They're passing on. My two best friends from the Navy have passed away in the last couple of years, and we both all were in the bands together, and played a lot of music together while we were in the military. But I have there's a couple left, and we still talk to them. They're all out of live down in South Texas, but we still talk. Yeah. That was probably the biggest thing that I took from it was these wonderful men. I thought only good guys lived in Texas, but I found out that there's a lot of good men all over this country, even up north.
Right. Even the Yankees, right?
That's right. Exactly. I remember one time we were on the ship. This was the John F. Kennedy, USS John F. Kennedy. We were only attached to that ship for like 3 months, but they sent us up to Boston it was in 1980, not long before I got out. It was, they called it OPSAIL 80. And basically they were having a big parade of sailing ships from all around the world up there. And the John F. Kennedy carrier was the centerpiece. In other words, they put us in dock and the ships would come by and they would hoist all their flags and all their sails and everything. They all made this big parade. It took all day. But anyway, these guys kept telling me that they knew this banjo player and they wanted us to get together and play because I hadn't found anybody to play with it up to that point. Yeah. And so I said, yeah, man, that'd be cool. Like to play with. So it finally got together where we were both not working. We were both off of work at the same time. And so he came down to my shop down there and had this banjo and we introduced ourselves. And so he's taking out his banjo. Well, I already had my guitar, so I'm just doing the little picking stuff, like I Fly Away, some of that old gospel stuff. And he stopped and he looked up on the other side of his banjo case and he says, "That's I Fly Away, isn't it?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "You learned how to play in a Pentecostal church, didn't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, You Pentecostal guitar pickers, y'all all sound alike. I can tell y'all a mile away." I said, "Well, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool, I guess. I'm going to take that as a compliment." But we played a lot of good music together. We knew all the same songs and everything.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a big sense of community in the military, and it's it seems so big, but it's really a small world because you travel in the same circles. You find somebody that knows somebody or that you served with at some time, and so it seems like it's a big community that's a small community and tight knit.
That's right. We had a few years ago. We had a squadron reunion down at Pensacola.
Oh, I love Pensacola.
That was my first time there at Pensacola, but the reunion was actually there at the museum.
Oh, the museum's so awesome.
And they had just picked up one of the old RA-5 Vigilantes that we all worked on. They'd just gotten one and they were in the process of restoring it for display. This is a big airplane.
Yeah.
It was the biggest. It was the heaviest aircraft that ever launched off an aircraft carrier.
Really?
But anyway, yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, they had it, and so they rolled it they took it out of the hangar where they were restoring it, and they rolled it out there by the big plate glass windows there by the museum. So, so we always had a good view of it. That was pretty awesome. Those are some pretty neat people. They treated us very well. It was very cool.
That is neat. Well, we're going to take another quick break and we're going to play Dallas Alexander, Adios Amigo. And we'll be right back with Norm Abbott.
There's a hotel window, many floors above. What's missing down there is love. Thinking through the smoke that fills my mind. Don't worry, it's not my first time. Adios, amigo. So glad I seen you. Seeing you around. Adios, amigo. I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town. They say it's all inside, heaven and hell. What happened to that angel when he fell? just one try. Tell me you don't like it. Be God for a moment and don't despise it. Adios amigo, so glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios amigo, I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town. Step outside and breathe. Play a little in the street. Hope it's not me they're sending. Move one from over there. Get the kids a little scared. Oh, these fences, they need mending. Adios amigo, so glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios amigo, I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town. Adios amigo, so glad I seen you. I won't be seeing you around. Adios amigo, I've been looking for you since I stepped foot in this town.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome back to Tracer Rounds, and you're on MBR, where we're giving veterans a voice. And tonight's veteran is Norm Abbott. Welcome back, Norm.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be back.
So we have about 6 or 7 minutes to finish up our talk. So is there anything you wanted to talk about or anything you wanted to say to us that you haven't said already?
Well, I've had a long, wonderful life. No regrets. I've been blessed. I've been blessed to meet a lot of good people in the military that were just good as gold. And I was fortunate enough to make a lot of long-lasting friends with those guys. And I miss them terribly. They're almost all gone. I don't know. I'm still here. Don't know why, but I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. But, those are some really great people in the military. We helped each other. We did a lot of things. We get, if somebody was down a little bit, they needed something, they needed help with a bill. Everybody we just pitched in. Nobody thought anything of it. And I loved those times. And same way, it's the same way in the church that we go to. It's these are some of the most giving people that you could ever want to meet, and they always rise to the occasion when something's needed or someone needs whatever we do. This they always rise. This, and I know you know this as well as I do. They're just wonderful, wonderful people, and it makes it a joy to belong to a group of people like that in the church, or like that, are all like-minded.
Right.
And that includes you too, Terry.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just one of the crowd, and I'm one of the fans. I fangirl over the band because the band is really good.
Thank you. Everybody is important. Everybody's got a place, and everybody has a work to do in the church, no matter what it is.
Right.
It's all needed.
Definitely. So, do you see yourself doing any more performances anywhere, or going back to Billy Bob's at any point? Or didn't you guys do something at the senior center recently too? Like maybe late last year?
We did some gospel stuff, some gospel concerts for those folks up there. That was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. The guy that was ramrodding and all that, he was the piano player, and he was ramrodding most of all that. And he retired, so he's not doing anymore. So if it was something like that, where I could still be home, get in bed by 10 or 10:30, I'd be okay with it.
Right.
I'd love to do it, but as far as going out like the Billy Bob's and working, see, like when we played Billy Bob's, now I had a full-time job, in the oil and gas industry, but when we played Billy Bob's, that was 4 nights.
That's a lot.
And it was 9 to 1.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, ma'am. It was, but you had to love it. You had to love it to do it. But we did it.
That's awesome.
I couldn't do it now. I would have to turn it down. It's just wasn't enough money could get me to do it now. I'm getting ready, like I said earlier, getting ready to go to bed by the time them boys are kicking off the first song.
They're just getting started, and you're already turning up the lights.
Exactly. Let the younger boys have it. We passed the torch.
Right.
Let them young boys, let them have a turn at it.
What advice would you give somebody that's wanting to learn the steel guitar? What advice would you give to somebody?
The steel guitar is a heck of a commitment, mainly because of the cost. It's hard to find a good steel guitar, just the guitar, under probably $3,500. You might find some used ones, maybe they're a little cheaper. They're terribly expensive, and so it's quite a commitment. And that's just the guitar. Now you still have to buy the amp and and everything that goes with it. So that and to take lessons, don't try to do it like I did. It takes a lot longer. I was very fortunate that I was already a musician and I already played other instruments.
Yeah.
And so, but for a person that hadn't learned to play any instruments, you would need to take
that, right?
You need to, but like I say, you're going to be in this thing, easily. You can just find all used stuff. You can still spend easily $4,000 just to get you started. So it's quite a commitment. It's not like going down and buying you a $300 guitar and going that way. I used to give guitar lessons at the church on Thursday, and it was just for whoever wanted to take. It was very successful. There's a lot of guys. Most of them, they just wanted to be able to play songs and sing them.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think we had them do a recital at a church one Sunday morning.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I didn't charge them anything, but these guys, some of them were like pretty Western in the Western culture. I got guitar straps nice ones made out of, tool leather. I got pistol holsters. Lord.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was all kinds of stuff that they would make me, and just thanking me for. They didn't have to do it, but I was very appreciative also. That was pretty cool.
That is cool. Well, we're going to have to end, unfortunately, because the next show is starting. But Norm, I wanted to thank you for your service. I wanted to say welcome home. And I wanted to say thank you so much for being my guest. And we learned so much about you tonight, and we really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Terry. It was a lot of fun. Enjoy.
You're welcome. Thank you. And this is Trace Around signing off.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, We want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.